Woohoo! And some biscuits. We are ready to do some fun things. It's pretty stormy here today. How about you? Okay, let's grab the trusty knife and open this bad boy. They haven't sent me any of the accessories, so I do just want to mention that whenever I buy a Retroid device, I usually get like the grip and all that sort of thing, the case, all that, because I want to test that for you. But because this was sent to me for review, I never bought any of that stuff. Maybe I should have. But anyway, you do get a screen protector, you get extra buttons, you get a carry case, and you get a protective shell for the back. Obviously, we don't get a grip now because they've actually made these more ergonomic. So let's check it out. But maybe you're like my friend Shem at Retro Breeze and you want everything to be a little bit more difficult. If that's the case, PCBWay is for you. All jokes aside, PCBWay creates custom PCBs, so PCB boards if you're creating a special project. They have a community section where if you don't know what to do, there's plenty of people who have gone where no man has gone before and made creative things. And so you can go there and start a project that way. They do CNC milling, 3D printing, all sorts of materials on your 3D prints are available. So go onto their website. It's got all the specs you could possibly need. Set up a quotation, get your price, get it made, and get it delivered to your doorstep. Thanks so much to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Back to that exciting unboxing. It looks like I got the black one, which I think I lucked out because, oh, good Lord, that is pretty, man. And it's a lot lighter than I was expecting. Like Stubbs mentioned, it's not very prominent, this, but it is grippy. It's quite, well, it's decent plastic on the back. And then you've got this glass panel on the front. This is the more serious option out of the devices. Wow, that is pretty. I don't know. It does hide the fact that there is a massive bezel here. So the screen itself is bezel-less, as they mentioned in their marketing, but there is a huge gap, like a line here, as you'll see when we switch it on, but the black does hide it nicely. So initial feelings, it is a small device, but a far superior hand feel to the Retroid Pockets. There's something special about this, I must say. I don't know what it is, but it's something about this hollow plastic that doesn't feel very nice. I mean, this is cheap, if not that cheap. This has got a special charm, I have to say. And this is a critical factor. I feel that if Retroid discontinue this and the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, I think we've got problems because we are in that stage that I've been predicting where the industry is going to start to decline, where we can't keep making these devices and they can't keep getting better and better. I mean, they can keep getting better and better, but the diminishing returns is going to increase. And so I think a lot of people will be happy still with these as opposed to these. So if they stop making these, I think that's a mistake. All right, so let's carry on. Charm factor, this might actually win compared to this. It feels great. The triggers feel really good. The tension on these triggers is excellent. Very soft click on these. A very gentle click. And they click throughout, except like if you, no, even if you click right on the edge there. Oh, that's pretty good. Our usual Retroid D-pad, which I really like. Always loved this D-pad. We've got their good joysticks on here. My question is, actually they've recessed them quite a bit because what I was going to say is, do we not want just normal Switch joysticks on a smaller device like this to make it more pocketable? But these are quite well recessed. Little speaker grills. These buttons feel the usual excellent Retroid buttons. Now let's have a look. I can't feel any side resistance, so I don't think we are getting any body scrape. There is like very little gap here. I can't see a sort of accentuated gap here. I can't feel any scrape either. These start and select buttons have got a nice soft click to them. Home button, same. Back button, same. And then we need to just note, this is a video output. So this is your USB-C for charging, you're on the go, and it's got video output, and we're going to talk about that later in the video. This does have a certain amount of jank to it, this TF card cover. Okay, so now the nice thing about an AMOLED screen is that, you know, we basically turn off the pixels, the lighting of the pixels. So it's very dark. and then we go to brightness. That is exceptionally bright. I haven't turned all the lights off here in the studio, but to just test it there in a dark room, that is going to work really well. You can't even see it on the screen. And then obviously that's going to be too bright in a dark room. So brightness is excellent. You know, I'm currently working and using the Odin 2 Mini as my personal device, and this is way better as a screen because the Odin 2 Mini's got that gradient hue haze thing on it, so the vignetting. This definitely doesn't have any of that. Let's quickly do some immediate tests. So a lot of these devices up until now, like the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, let's just pick some random videos by some random YouTuber and have a look here. This is very, very good color, and just the rendering of the picture is really nice. Yes, I have a feeling we're in for a treat with this little screen. Now, in terms of the other color options of this device, I do really like this black. If you want a more serious, like, device that looks good, this is probably the one to go for. And if my fingers are pretty dry, like not very dirty or oily, but I'm not getting major, you are going to get fingerprints. That is just the reality of it. Let's do a quick shake test. It is completely silent. There isn't there's no shake whatsoever. So that is excellent. So I don't have that fancy tester, but if you look at the little dots, I've got complete control here. It snaps to the middle, obviously, but I'm getting complete control on these joysticks, which is excellent. So that's the fan at full speed, and there's a bit of a whine to it. It is quite loud, but I'm not sure how often you're actually going to need that. Put it on smart. Say done. And then pocketability. Pop it in my pockets. So I'm standing in the studio, putting it in my pockets. There's a definite bulge, but it's not huge, and it's okay. It's okay. It is pocketable because obviously it's small. Like physical size, it's small enough to fit in your pocket. It just is a bit bulgy. I feel like a lot of, I think the devices that we need to compare it to are Anbernic RG Cube, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, the Retroid Pocket 2S. This device was surprisingly powerful for what it is, and still one of my favorite devices. Such a lovely device. So it's got a lot to live up to here. You are getting that ever slightly bigger screen and better screen on this, but this is double the price. So I hate to jump on the bandwagon because I get lots of comments saying, if only they put a bigger chipset and a bigger screen in a device. And if you watch my channel, you know I moan about people saying that. But I am slowly, now that I've opened it, and I wanted to wait till I'd opened it before I even wrote it in my notes, but I am of the opinion that the screen is too small. I felt like that with this device. When I reviewed this, I said, this screen is too small. And they've made a very incremental change from here to here, and this is double the price. Obviously, it's way more powerful, but this screen is small. Like, we're going to talk about how I think you could use this device and how maybe the screen is okay, but you know, there's body real estate to go 4-inch here, and that would have been absolutely fantastic and would have been on par with Anbernic's devices, but then more powerful. And that would have made it a huge contender. But now we've got slightly smaller screen with more power compared to Anbernic. So, you know, that I do feel is something to mention. Even though I hate it when people go, bigger screen, bigger chipset, would have been perfect. This is obviously the screen they could get for the price that they wanted to put this at, and it's AMOLED. So, pros and cons. So interestingly that's actually louder, but it's not coming in louder into the mic because it's bottom-facing speakers. This is front-facing speakers, and it makes a huge difference, okay? I prefer the sound on this. So that is significant. And I think the reason is because these sound holes are bigger. It's allowing more of the sound of the speaker to come through. These speakers might actually be smaller. So you've got bigger drivers in here, I think, because you've got a wider sound spread on the 2S. So that is interesting. The emulators you need to install are Lime 3DS, RetroArch, PSP, Vita 3K you need to try out, Drastic, Yuzu or Suyu if you can get your hands on the original Yuzu, but it won't install on here yet, so hopefully we can get the Android updated. Nether SX2, there's a bit of a rigmarole to get Nether SX2 going, Dolphin, and then I've chosen Daijisho as my front end. First things that immediately become very apparent is just blacks on this AMOLED screen. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm not going to do a comparison now for time, but I'm going to go out on a limb that for my full review, we are going to notice that this screen is better than the RG556 by Anminic because it's smaller. Check this out. Look at those blacks. How nice does it look on this black device? But that is exceptional. I've always said this is a great LCD screen, but this is just got so much more depth to it. It's kind of crazy. Very, very good screen, and the colors are more balanced. So no, I'm not anymore saying, you know, this is good for gaming. It's good for everything. It's just really good. Okay. All right, now in terms of emulation, I'm not going to get very in the weeds with the game testing here, but the little that I've tested, I went into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for PlayStation 2, God of War, Burnout 3, which is usually a difficult one to emulate. Everything I'm running at 2x resolution and it's running fine. It's like, looks really good, man. It's difficult to explain on the screen, on YouTube, but the screen is very, very, very nice. Like truly. So for PlayStation 2, I know it's a tiny screen, but this thing is really special. Let's see if we're getting any audio crackle. I haven't tested this game yet. I usually get a bit of crackle around here. See that? She always crackles.
Do not forget that it was I who made you a god ghost of Sparta. Do not turn your back on me.
Yeah, this is effortless. And this is going to be a lovely PS1 emulator. So the only downside with this screen, and the reason why I think this is one of the biggest competitors, is that you can do that vertical screen layout on here and get a pretty decent screen size, whereas here you won't, and you're going to rather have to toggle the screens like this. A little bit of stutter there, some stutter there. I installed a custom turnip driver, so I can play around with that. A little bit of stutter. This is one of my harder to emulate games. Even on the Odin 2 Mini, it doesn't emulate perfectly. Like minimal stutter on the Odin 2 Mini. But here, as it loads, it seems to be improving. Yeah, so now it's running quite nicely. So I'd say this emulation of Sonic Generations is similar to the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, but the thing is I can play around with custom drivers and I'll probably be able to get a little bit more performance out of this. This color on this is so good. Yo. I'll try to color grade the video to look just as I see it in the studio, but it really pops without it causing it to look unnatural. Like this, the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, as much as I like it, is over enhanced. This is just a great screen. PS Vita is looking more and more promising every time I play around with it. So yeah, I just wanted to show this lovely little game looking beautiful on the screen. I'm definitely going to be playing this tonight. That's part of my test that he lost his head. As I go through this, I keep going through my mind, is this device like amazing or is it just average? And I think this next part is one of those things that will be the deciding factor for you. And that is its connectivity. So that I mentioned in the beginning that video output here. And I checked it on my Retroid dock. The Retroid dock works perfectly. I played some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for PS2 and it worked beautifully with my Ultimate controller. It is a very compact console. Now, if that is something that's important to you, this thing is a bit of a game changer in that regard because of how small it is. The smallness and the small screen suddenly becomes a benefit. So there I was able to get firstly, an Ultimate controller connected to this, which is great, a 2.4 gigahertz controller. So Bluetooth controllers, all that will work with this. And then this is a bit of a fringe thing, but I want to point it out because I do think it is a big deal for people who own these. And the more I talk to people, there's more and more people who own these sorts of things, these XR glasses and VR glasses and all that. Now this will work with XR glasses. Vita 3K, we've got Limbo going. Yeah, suddenly you've got this very engaging environment and very powerful gameplay. Hopefully eventually we'll get some stuff like Switch playing on here. But we've got very powerful gameplay, PS2, GameCube, all that sort of thing on this tiny device. But this tiny device has got excellent controls. Some of the best controls like around, better than Anbernic in my opinion. And so you've got the ability to have this whole setup with a very compact controller. That is quite a big deal. So that's why I say when I talk about it in these terms and in this sort of scenario, in this sort of use case, this is actually like a little bit of a game changer. I don't know, I can't think of anything else on the market that's this compact that gives you this amount of versatility. So in my summary, I want to compare it to the Retroid Pocket 2S and the Anbernic RG Cube. Now, the biggest thing is it outperforms both of them by quite a big margin. So it is just a better device performance-wise. Well, big margin, you can play a lot of 3DS games on the RG Cube. You can play a lot of PS2 games. The thing I like about the RG Cube is how versatile it is and how sort of cute it is. It's a really nice looking little device. But this has also got the cuteness going for it. I got the black, which is a bit more serious and manly, but you can get the more sort of cutesy colors. And I think there's a pinkish one. So this also kind of does that, which is something that I feel like has been missing in the market. So that's one of the reasons why I like this. But I do like this for the square screen. The versatility of the square screen can't be understated. There's pros and cons, as always. The RG Cube, I think, is still probably my favorite. But let me play with this for a few weeks and I will give you my final verdict on that. I just think this is more versatile. In terms of the Retroid Pocket 2S, the Retroid Pocket 2S has just got a great form factor, lovely design. The screen should have been bigger from the beginning. It's one of the things that really holds this device back. I think the screen should have been a 4-inch, just like I think this should be a 4-inch, but you are getting it for half the price. I still think this is a really, really good buy. You're getting a little bit of PS2, a little bit of GameCube that plays N64 beautifully. This is a really nice device, especially if you want a premium-ish device for 16-bit games. You know, like I like Darkwing Duck. If you want to play a specific old game on a very nice device, this is the way to go. So my verdict is this. We are now in that stage where I said that this industry is going to start to do this. Because when we started, it was, I said in a video, as a reviewer, we are in this sort of luxurious position that every time a device comes out, it's a new segment. When the RGB 30 came out, there was no device in the world like it. And so we all just loved it, you know. And then the RG Cube came out and then it's like, oh, which one should you get? We are now in a position where this device is now, it's expensive, so you've got to consider that. Are you a premium device buyer? But then you've got to go, there's so many other devices that can do what this does in a different form factor or, you know, for a different use case. I think this device is for a premium buyer, somebody that wants all the fancy bells and whistles, wants perfect controls, wants great audio, wants the best screen, and wants it to feel really nice in their hands.